Hey guys, it's Emily and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be reading some holiday romances before the holidays come up. So today, when I'm filming this, it's currently the 19th of December. I have been procrastinating this video to some extent, but also I've been working on my reading the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees video, and that's obviously going to take me a hot minute before I finish that because I'm a slow reader, and you know what? That's okay. It happens. So let me just tell you about what I'm reading. Currently I'm reading Mistletoe and Mr. Right by Sarah Morgenthaler. So I have read the first book in the Moose Spring series, which was the tourist attraction, and I liked it a lot. I read it back I think in 2020, so it's been a hot minute. I don't remember it super well, but I remember Zoe and Graham enough. I know that I liked them. And this book follows Zoe's friend Lana, who I just seem to remember well. Like, you know, as soon as she was mentioned, like I knew exactly who she was. Like I kind of remembered her vibe pretty well, which is impressive. The fact that I remembered her pretty well, like I feel like she was a pretty distinct character. This is following her, and so this book series takes place in Alaska if you don't know anything about the Moose Spring series. It's like a small town, and so after the last book, Zoe's living there, and Lana, she is doing some construction. Like she owns, I think, a lot of the properties, I think, in town, and she's trying to build some condos, I think, there. So partly because of that, the locals are not super fond of her and what she's doing. They're not crazy about her driving in more people, because something I guess about Moose Springs is they don't like tourists. This is a very touristy place and they're just not fond of them. They're like, get out of here. We don't want you here. They don't like that Lana's trying to, I guess, drive in and bring in more tourists. So a lot of the people in the town hate her, aside from her best friend Zoe and this guy named Rick. And Rick, I think Lana met like this past summer, or maybe it was the summer before or something like that. And so they've kind of, you know, like whenever they've like been in contact with each other, like they've liked interacting, and Rick has had a big old crush on Lana, which is kind of making me realize I have a new favorite trope. I don't know if it's like, you know, much of a trope, but like something I don't feel like talk about enough in books that I think is kind of cute. It's like everyone hates this person except for the love interest. I think that's kind of cute. It kind of reminds me a bit of Raven and Dexter from Ever After High, just because like Raven was out to be like, you know, the next evil queen and supposed to be evil. Because of that, there was a lot of people who didn't like her or didn't like what she was trying to do either. But, you know, then there's like this cute golden retriever, you know, guy who has had this big old crush on her, and it's just like, you know, it's pretty cute. He's also like a really golden retriever kind of guy. He's really sweet. He got divorced from his wife, but he is kind of feeling ready to move on, and he hasn't been out on a date, I think, since this divorce happened. But they're getting to know each other, and he's kind of like, you know, should I pursue something? Because there's also the conflict of Lana's probably not going to be in Moose Springs forever, so they're kind of like, okay, are we just like friends? Are we kind of just like hanging out? Like, do we like each other? So, like, kind of like a mutual pining thing going on. But then also, like, she's not gonna stay here, so like, what's the point in starting something? But also, like, I have feelings for you, and you know, there's a lot of things going on. So far, so good. I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm having a good time with it. I think I like it more than I did the tourist attraction. I enjoy the tourist attraction a lot. I've been meaning to get around this book for like so many years now. I think since the year it came out, I've been trying to get around this book. It's finally happening. I'm finally doing it. Finally reading this book. You know, it said Mistletoe, Mr. Right. Like, there's Christmassy vibes to it, and I'm like, I want to read Christmas books, so like, you know, around Christmas, not at other times in the year. That being said though, I wouldn't say like the Christmas vibes in this one are super strong. Like, it takes place in Alaska, but like it's been very not Christmassy, to be honest. Like, there's not a lot of Christmas things happening. So if that's, you know, your idea going into it, like it's set around Christmas, I guess, so there's that happening, and there's like slight references to Christmas, but I wouldn't say like it's a super Christmassy book. Like, it's pretty much just, I guess, their lives around. I mean, that's maybe what the holidays kind of is for a lot of people. It's like, you know, just their lives, and then Christmas happens and whatever. I feel like you probably could read this, you know, not necessarily around Christmas, and probably still enjoy it. If you're watching this, I don't know, maybe after Christmas or something like that, I think this is still a good one to pick up. I really like Rick. You know, I'm a sucker for like golden retriever love interest. Those are like my favorite. So, you know, as soon as like he was introduced, like I was hooked in the story. I was like, oh, he's so cute and like adorable, and like I like the way he interacts with Lana, and just like, you know, I like their interactions. I think it's sweet. She has feelings for him, so it's like a mutual pining thing going on. So it's a fun time so far. I'm 50% of the way through it. I think I'm on page 202. I'm going to continue. I'm listening to the audiobook of this one, so I'm going to continue listening to that, and I will update you once I have probably finished it, because I don't see myself having any other feelings. So I have finished Mistletoe and Mr. Right. I finished this last night and I'm giving it 4 stars. I had a good time with it. I think if you're looking for a fun little sweet Christmas, I mean, it's not really that Christmassy. There's not a lot of Christmas going on in this book. It's just kind of set around Christmas, so I feel like it's a book you don't have to read around Christmas. Like, it didn't give me the Christmassy vibe. That being said, I mean, it's set in Alaska. There's like a small town romance vibe to it. So I feel like if you like that with like a golden retriever hero, you'll probably enjoy this. I would recommend picking it up. I think my only complaint with the book is a lot of times, like, you know, I think there's a lot of hate out there for, I don't know if it's just like third act conflict or the third act breakup trope, because there's a third act conflict in every single book you read. That's kind of how books are like formatted, have this like conflict in the third act. So that's kind of what you're expecting. And then in a romance, it's kind of a thing where they always break up in that third act conflict. So it's like the third act breakup sort of thing. I don't think it's necessary in every book. And you know, I think that's why there's authors out there who can execute a book well without forcing conflict in the end. And you know, I think sometimes, like in a book I read recently, I think the breakup's actually necessary. I think it works for the story you're trying to tell and with the characters. Like, I don't always think that the breakup in the third act is unnecessary, but a lot of times I think with most books it can be, and that is how unfortunately I felt about Mistletoe Mr. Right. The breakup part, I mean, it came very near the end of the book. It lasted like all of 5 seconds, and do I think it was necessary? Not really. I don't think, you know, the characters needed to break up to come to this like conclusion about themselves. I feel like they were already at that point and they could have made those decisions without this like breakup being thrown in there. Especially because I feel like there was already enough conflict going on in the book. The epilogue takes place like only like I think a few days later or something like that, like after Christmas. So we don't know what happened with that, and I don't want to like spoil it. It was something that kind of caught me off guard because it was like a little sad. I don't know. I was like, where is that going? And I don't think we got an answer. And I'm kind of confused. Like, unless I missed it, I have to like look it up, and I'm like, what happened to this character? Like, are they okay? Like, we just kind of like wrote it off, like nothing happened. What? I was so confused by that. But otherwise, I did really enjoy this book. I would recommend it. Fun little small town cozy Christmas book. Since then, I've decided to start it in On One Way or Another by Kara McDowell. So it says one choice, 2 chances to fall in love. So this book is following Paige, I believe is her name. Yeah, her name is Paige, and she's had a huge crush on her best friend Fitz. And if you know me, I'm a friends to lovers girl. Fitz has like invited her to like, I don't know, hang out with his family or something like that, like after Christmas. Then her mom also springs on her this trip to New York. They're gonna go there over Christmas. She doesn't know what to do because essentially her mom's going to New York with or without her, and also just kind of surprised her with this. And so she has anxiety and is indecisive, and she doesn't know how to make a choice because she doesn't know where she's gonna end up, and it like, you know, makes her really anxious. Like both choice options, she's like, well, make this choice and then this could happen, and then this could happen, and then this could happen, but to make this other choice, then this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen. Kind of coming up with conclusions on like what will happen with each choice. So like making a choice is really hard for her, especially like this big of a choice. Like, I think if I was in her situation, I wouldn't know what to do either. Like, go to New York with my mom or go on this trip with my best friend like after Christmas who like I'm in love with. Like, I don't know what I would do. This book takes place in alternating timelines. So we have one where she goes on this trip with her mom, and then we have the other one where she goes and does Christmas with her best friend. And it's alright. I was about to be really mad about this book for a second, so I'm glad that I decided to read a bit more of it before I came to update you. But it's kind of just fine. I think, like I said, I'm a friends to lovers girly, as you know. It's my favorite trope of all time, and I will pretty much pick up any book that has that trope. Like, it says it's a friends to lovers book, it's on my TBR. And this one I was really excited about. Like, it sounded really interesting. Like, I love books involving time, you know, where you're kind of messing with it a little bit. Like, this isn't necessarily magical, we just kind of have like 2 alternating timelines kind of thing. So I'm curious how to see if how that'll app up. Will we get like just endings of both of the stories and like, oh, and this is the story, what happens if you do this in this place, and this is what happens to this place. You kind of get like 2 happily ever afters. That's what I want, you know, kind of like that movie that has I don't know what it was called. I'll try to put it on the screen here, but that movie that has Lily Reinhardt in it, it's kind of giving me that vibe. I haven't seen that movie, but kind of similar to that, you know, where it's like, oh, she made this choice, or like this happened in her life, that's what happened, and then, you know, that sort of thing. So I feel like if you like that movie, maybe you'll like this book. As much as I'm a friends to lovers girly, I'm not into girl obsessed and boy oblivious. I already feel like she's too good for Fitz, and honestly the other guy too. So there's another guy in the New York timeline, which I'll talk about him as well, but I mean, so far, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of him for me to judge him entirely, but I already feel like she's kind of a little too good for him. So there's my feelings on that, I guess. I was gonna be really mad because it kind of, when we got left off on like the plot line where she's in with her best friend and spending Christmas with him, it sounded like he had invited his ex-girlfriend there, and his ex-girlfriend showed up, and like I was like not ready for that. I'm like, absolutely not. What is this? She's gonna be like the second choice again. I can't deal with this. And you know, that's kind of how I'm feeling. I hope this book can convince me and like change it around, which I think is possible at this point in time, because I think it's gonna go in the direction of like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have feelings for you. I've had feelings for you this whole time, but like, I don't want to ruin our friendship, and you've kind of given me all the signs that you don't have feelings for me. So like, I think like that's gonna be like the situation. Like, it's like, gonna be like a mutual pining thing where like he has liked her this whole time. I think it would have been more realistic if he hasn't, honestly, because that's kind of the vibes of the story that I'm getting, to be honest. Like, why are you dating all these girls to make her jealous? And like, I think his girlfriend just broke up with him and he was kind of bummed about it. She's constantly just feeling like a second choice. I think there needs to be some resolution with that for her feeling like a second choice, because I don't think she should. Also, I feel like I think the ring light might be reflected in my library book, so I'm sorry if it's super reflecty right now because it's a library book and I'm boring. I don't actually own this book. I think there needs to be a lot of development done to convince us, the reader, and Paige as a character that she's not just some second choice. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Aside from the other plot line, we've met this guy named Harrison, and like, also, like, I'm gonna be for real with you, the mom kind of sucks at this point in time. I'm expecting more from the mom. Her mom was like, yeah, let's go on this trip to New York, like, we're gonna spend Christmas together, and like, I know you really want to travel because that's kind of something she's really passionate about, and New York's one of like her bucket list places to visit. And so I think they're staying with like one of her mom's friends and mom's friend's kid. And I think they're just expecting the kid to like entertain Paige. And his name's Harrison. She just like goes on this trip and then expects, you know, this random stranger to entertain her in New York. Especially when like her daughter, Paige, has anxiety. Excuse me, what? Their mom's kind of crappy in that way. I'm like, why isn't the mom like hanging out with her and making all these plans to do these things in New York together? Because, you know, she planned this trip for her and her daughter to go on. It's like a mother-daughter trip. Like, why isn't the mother more present? Why is she ditching her for like her friend that's here? Like, I think there's gonna be like a romantic thing that happens between the mom's friend and her. So that's my prediction. If the trip was going like this way with her mom, I would have gone on the trip with the best friend easily. And then obviously Harrison is the love interest in this like alternate timeline, and currently he's kind of rude to her, but like also I'm trying to like see things from his perspective, and I'm like, okay, if like some random girl just started like staying with you like over the holidays when you're not expecting it, like it's just like an all of the sudden sort of thing, I guess that would be kind of jarring, especially if you like Christmas, or even if you don't like Christmas, like, you know, you already have these plans in your head what you're going to expect, and then it gets completely thrown out the window. I think that would be kind of frustrating. But also on the other hand, I think it's very telling, you know, how he's treating her right off the bat, just kind of terribly. I think, you know, when she's supposed to be a guest, and like how this person might interact in the future, especially, I mean, not that they're gonna get married. I think it's like a little bit of a red flag in the future of just like how guests in his house, like, I don't know if he's like this with everybody, but that's so far, you know, what I'm getting from him. He's just not impressed by her. He's kind of saying like really mean, rude things that he just doesn't need to say. The part I left off at, I think she's like trapped. She went alone because her mom just didn't go with her. I don't know why, but her mom didn't go to like sightsee with her. The whole reason she's in New York. So she's like, I think, doesn't know how to get back to the place, so he's gonna come and pick her up and like help her out. That's where I'm at in this book. It's okay. I'm not having a super great time with it, but I am still like passionate enough about it that I'm going to continue to see where this is gonna go. Hopefully it goes in a better direction. Hopefully I like the relationships. I will say it's definitely more Christmassy than Mistletoe and Mr. Right. So if you're looking for more of a Christmas book, this is definitely more Christmas. And I like time loops. I like the magical element, I think with Christmas stuff. Or just in general. I like magical realism. That's like probably my favorite genre, despite the fact I don't read it enough. I just like when it's contemporary but with some kind of magical twist. It's a fun time. So anyways, I'm gonna continue reading this and I'll update you either at the halfway point or when I'm finished. I'm at page 105 right now, so like, you know, probably like a quarter of the way through. Maybe I'll update you after 50%. We'll see what happens. I feel like I'm really passionate about this book. I feel like I have a lot to say. So we'll see if I come back to you either when I'm finished or whatever. It's now the next day. So last night I didn't finish one way or another, but I finished it today. But I'll get into that in a second. So last night we went to the movies. We went to go see Wonka, which was exciting. It was like a musical. As far as like my reviews go, because I'm sure you've heard about this movie, it was good. It was cute. I liked it overall. Like, it's not like the most amazing thing I've ever seen ever, but it was enjoyable enough. It had Timothée Chalamet in it, which I've actually never seen a movie with him in it, I don't think, surprisingly. And my cousin's like, we need to correct that. You need to watch Little Women. And I liked him as an actor. I feel like he played Wonka well. I guess with the way Wonka was written in this movie, played him well. I think the only thing I didn't like about it was, the music was kind of like underwhelming. Like, the only kind of memorable songs were, you know, the ones from the original, like the Oompa Loompa song. And then aside from that, there was like some fat jokes being made, and I just don't feel like it was necessary. It's like, can we stop with this? This isn't funny. Stop making fun of people's weight, or making people's weight a joke. It's just not funny. That's how I feel about that. We went to the movies, and so we went to like the Landmark movie theater. We saw a sign on the door saying they had like the Taylor Swift Eras Tour bucket and cups, and I don't know, I did get the cups. I got one of them. Well, I got two of this version. Cause I think there's like 2 different versions in Canada. I mean, because depending on like which cinema you go to, like different movie theaters have different cups. So I got this one. My mom got me one as well. But by the time we got there, we went opening night for the Eras Tour movie, and the buckets were already sold out by the time we got there. I got cups, so I'm grateful about that because I think that sold out like not long after. And I got like, I put my bookmarks in here currently for now because I think they're cute. I think it's a good use for them right now. I don't know what I'm using the other one for yet. Then, you know, like we still had cups at this other movie theater, so we saw that because we saw people with cups. So I got another cup, so it's a different version of the cup. So that's fun. I'm excited about that. I'm still drinking my, what I got like strawberry cream soda yesterday, so it's like, you know, not busy anymore. It's kind of a little flat, but I'm still drinking it a bit, and then I'll probably dump it soon because I can't really hold on this forever and ever. But I liked it enough, and the cup is so cute. I'm all over this. I like it. I think I like it more than the other cup I currently have. And it also came with a lid, which mine did not. They had the regular like plastic lids over top of them. It's bigger than the other cup, but I like this cup a lot. This theater also had buckets, so I've officially have a Taylor Swift Eras Tour popcorn bucket, and I'm pretty grateful about it. So I thought I'd just share it because I'm very happy about it that I have this now. Because I was like, oh, there's no way they still even have these things. I was like, you know, they're sold out, they're gone. It's like a while supplies last sort of thing. No, they still have them. So I don't know if it's true for every movie theater. They were selling them on sale because they're trying to get rid of them now that the movie's not in theaters anymore. But I was pretty thrilled that they had this, and I was screaming to my friends about it because I could not be more excited. So yeah, there's my thoughts. Anyways, I finished One Way or Another today. I gave it 3 stars. I will say, like, this did not go in the direction I thought it would at the beginning of the book. Like, some things did, obviously. Like, some things I'm not super surprised by. But the ending of this book wasn't what I was expecting. I think for the best, to be honest, because I think when we got to certain parts of the story, I was like, I don't want it to go in this direction, and I'm glad it didn't. So I think that was, I don't know how I feel about the ending. I think it was good overall, but like I think people, if you're going into this book with a certain expectation on it, you might not be satisfied. I don't know, but like you could take that in any way, honestly, for whatever you know about this book. I think I have a lot of critiques. You know, I had a lot of thoughts and feelings while reading it. But I couldn't put this book down. I was super into it. Like I had to put it down yesterday because I was busy. My grandparents had a Christmas party at their old folks' home, so I went to that. And then I saw Wonka, so I was just super busy yesterday. I didn't have time to finish it. But as soon as I picked it back up today, I just like trekked on through. And I didn't stop until I finished the book because I was so into it. I wouldn't say I love this book, but I had a good time with it. It was entertaining. I was amused the whole time. I was entertained the whole time. So, I mean, it did that for me. So I think if you're picking this up for like an entertainment level, I think you might like it, you know? If you just kind of, it's really ridiculous, you know? It kind of reminds me, take this with a grain of salt if you have read this book, but like Better Than Perfect, because Better Than Perfect is a book that I gave it 3 stars, but it's like one of my more fond 3 stars because it was a book I didn't take too seriously, and I think sometimes you just need to not take a book super seriously, because I take books seriously majority of the time, but as soon as I stopped taking Better Than Perfect seriously, I loved it. Just because it kind of got ridiculous. Like after one point in the book, I'm like, wait, this is a comedy. This is, you know, it was just kind of, it's fun when you don't, it's like a silly little book, you know? Not supposed to be super serious, you know? And I don't think this, well, I mean, this is kind of a serious book in the sense that it talks about anxiety, and I think that's a pretty prevalent subject, so I wouldn't say this is like a silly little book in the same way. But it's a fun little Christmas story, I would say overall. I don't feel like anxiety, I mean, well, she's pretty overwhelmed with anxiety. I'm pretty sure she has pretty high anxiety. Very, very severe high anxiety. I think a pet peeve of mine is self-sabotaging main characters, and I think maybe just a lot of times they're just not written well, or in the way that I feel like, you know, I self-sabotage. I'm someone who's an anxious overthinker, like the protagonist here. I self-sabotage. I've learned this about myself within the past year, especially very recently, that especially when I like someone, I like self-sabotage it. I'm just like, I like someone? That's embarrassing for me. My self-sabotaging is just like avoiding them. I guess there's different levels of it, but in this book, it was just kind of ridiculous. The point, you know, it had me going like, I don't feel like it was necessary. But I mean, it made the book, like, ridiculous. Like, I think it was a lot of the self-sabotaging is what contributed to this book lasting longer. Had we had a character who could communicate, because this book thrives off miscommunication, let me tell you, this book's filled with it. Filled with it. This main character, like, does not want to communicate her feelings. And I think despite the fact, at the beginning of this book, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want, like, Fitz to, like, get with her and like treat her like the second best, because like, you know, I think we need some real development from him, to prove she's not second best. And did we get that? Arguably yes, honestly, but I think, you know, what I learned as we went throughout the story is that Paige here is an unreliable narrator because she's like making it out that she's a second choice, and so I believe her because it's a contemporary rom-com. I wouldn't say Fates is perfect by any means. He messes up, but also Paige here wasn't doing good with signs. She was not dropping them. I think she was trying to convince this man that she didn't have a crush on him, which, I mean, I guess I do that too. So relatable in that sense, but to the extreme extent. Like, not just like, oh, I'm avoiding you because I like you. No, no, no. She's like ready to set up his ex-girlfriend to get back together with him. What? Overall, I had a good time with it, honestly. I would recommend it. I gave it 3 stars. It was enjoyable. It was a fun Christmas read, and it was just kind of a silly book, you know? It was ridiculous, but I think in a good way, you know? It was fun that it was over the top, you know? I think the drama of this book kept me on the edge of my seat. It's what kept me reading this book, because it certainly wasn't, well, maybe it was Paige herself, because Paige is the problem. Paige is the one that drives the conflict of the story, because she's the one that's constantly creating the conflict in the story. So I think overall, I would say I liked it. Looking for a fun Christmas read, pick it up. So the next book I decided to pick up is, what's it called? A Little Magic by Lynn Lanza. And this book came out this year, the only new release I've actually read for this video. And I'm having an excellent time with this. So let me tell you the premise. So it follows these 2 best friends. We have Ellie and we have Theo. Yes, his name's Theo. I'm like, there's Ezra, who is her brother, and then Theo's the love interest. So they met as kids. They're like childhood best friends. He's like, Ezra's brother's friend, so it's like a best friends or brother's best friend sort of thing. But also like they have their own relationship, like they are friends themselves too. So I feel like, you know, it's friends to lovers as well. At a young age, Ellie was diagnosed with lupus, and because of this, her mom's been like very, very overprotective of Ellie, and you know, making sure that like she's okay, but like to a very extreme extent. And she ends up befriending Ezra's friend Theo throughout this because she's struggled to make her own friends, and it's been really, really hard for her because everyone kind of looks at her as like the sick girl, and she's been like in and out of the hospital, and she's just not really able to make her own friends. So she's kind of befriended Theo through this. She's also like been trying to get close to her brother. It was so cute within like the first scene. She was just like, it was her birthday, and she was just like, you know, all I really wanted for my birthday was for my brother to love me or something. And I was just like, my girl. It's really nice seeing their relationship, I think, develop throughout the story. That's like a thing I'm really enjoying. We see them, they're childhood friends, and it's also like a second chance romance. So something happens, I don't know what yet, and honestly I have some predictions, but like I don't know everything. I haven't figured it all out yet. And now we have present day, which is 7 years later, and so she is now moved out from this town. She hasn't talked to like her overprotective mother in a long time, and that's I think why she probably moved away, was from her family because of what she kind of went through as a kid and how much she wasn't able to do and just like how trapped she felt. But she finds out that like this like winter village place or whatever, I don't know if it's like a theme park, I don't know if it was quite a theme park, but it was like some winter place you could go like ice skating. I think there was like tubing and like there's probably like skiing there and stuff like that too. It's like this winter village place or whatever has like reopened, and it's like open like all year round too. So finds out about this, and I think she's working as like a travel blogger or something with like some of her friends, and so she decides she's gonna go check it out. I think her other friends like in Spain doing some other thing, so she's gonna be the one to go check it out. And this is like something she grew up going to. I think Theo's parents owned it at one point. As soon as she gets there, she runs into Theo, so that timeline's kind of like progressing. I'm like 30% into it, and I'm so enjoying it. I'm enjoying it so much. Like I was gonna try to read like Christmas books for the rest of the year, or just like holiday romances in general, because it has a lot of holidays in it. Like it has birthdays, it has Hanukkah because the protagonist is Jewish, it has New Year's, and it has Christmas because Theo celebrates Christmas. I will say trigger warning for parent death, because Theo's parents die like fairly early on in the book. So just like if that's something like, you know, you're kind of cautious about, you know, it is talked about. I love a good second chance romance. I love a good friends to lovers story, and I love when it's dual timeline. And not only is it dual timeline, it's dual perspective, which I don't think I've ever read before. Most of the second chance romances that I've read that are like dual timeline, like People Meet on Vacation, Every Summer After, Love in Other Words, they've all been from like the female protagonist's perspective. We haven't ever seen male's perspective, so I think it's really cool that it's both dual timeline and dual perspective. I really like that aspect of it and how we get to see from both of their points of view. And I'm curious to see what's gonna go wrong between them, because I honestly don't know. All I can really think of at this point is that like Ellie wanted to move away from all of this, and like he didn't necessarily, like, it's home for him or something. But I mean, he also has moved away. This one in the story. I think he's like at a boarding school. So I mean, he has moved away technically. I didn't think another book was gonna make it on my favorites of the year list. Depends where this goes. This is very possible because so far I'm like absolutely loving this book. It's so good. Kind of picked this one up on a whim because I mean that's kind of what I've been doing with all of these books. But yeah, it's super cute. My one critique I would say is in the dual timeline sort of thing. I feel like, you know, obviously I think both are definitely going to be important and they're both going to serve a purpose. However, I do think that the present day timeline is moving a little too quickly. So I think we're spending a lot of time in the past, and I don't mind that because I'm enjoying the past timeline. However, I also feel like the present day timeline, I wish, you know, it would slow down a little bit, like pump the brakes. I feel like these characters are kind of like moving too quickly a little bit. Like we had like an only one bed situation where they're kind of like spooning each other and stuff like that. And I was like, that's great and all, but I think, you know, had that part come like a bit later on in the story, I think I would have appreciated it a little bit more. That's all I have to say about this, and I will update you either at the, I don't know, 75%, something like that. I'll update you probably when I finish. Hello, we're doing this vlog style. Hey bud, you know you can come up, right? Come here. You're let in. Come on. Yeah, there's little Steve. Okay, you wanna come inside? You wanna hang out? Anyways, it is the 23rd of December, so I'm like trying to get this video up as like late as possible, I guess. That's just because I am not good at time management, you know? I'd like to work on that in the new year. We'll see if that actually happens. I have not finished the book. I haven't made, I don't think, much or any progress since I last talked to you. I probably made like a bit of progress. Yesterday I was so busy. I was shopping with my mom all day for Christmas and I was exhausted that like I didn't feel like listening to a book yesterday. I was just like, I'm not in the mood. I did buy some stuff yesterday, so I guess I can show you that. First of all, it did snow, and I think that's pretty nice. It's like, look at that. Look how nice and snowy it is outside. Gorgeous. Today I am wrapping gifts because tomorrow's Christmas Eve, so I'm gonna be super busy trying to just get ready for church we have tomorrow, and then Christmas is crazy, so I'm already kind of feeling tired, which is not a great start to the day because I'm like, I have a lot planned for today. Hopefully I can accomplish it all and get this vlog up. I don't know if it's gonna happen today. I'm in my unrealistic plans era. I'm really like my sister where, you know, she's the kind of person that's like, I'm gonna do all of this today and sets unrealistic goals for herself. And I don't know, she doesn't always accomplish them. I have to open these boxes and figure out what's in each of them, figure out what's for what. And then I wanted to also do some other reading stuff in this vlog because I'm trying to kind of spice up my channel a little bit and not just have it be about books because I feel like there's a lot of other things I'm passionate about and it's just kind of feeling like, I don't know, whenever I'm doing one thing, I'm not being productive on another thing. So I feel like, you know, I do want to like grow this channel and I want to be more on it and posting more regularly than I have been. So my plan is just to kind of like do whatever I want. I do have another channel where I make mashups. So that's a little hobby of mine. That one is a separate channel because I just felt weird uploading it to this channel. But it's called Rebel Mashups 101. I will link it down below. I have a lot of Taylor Swift mashups on there. And I also have it on SoundCloud. So there's different mashups on there. It just depends on what gets copyrighted and what doesn't. Because sometimes SoundCloud will copyright me, but YouTube won't. And sometimes it's the opposite. So another thing I wanted to do in this vlog was read The Royal Holiday on Choices and then just talk about it. I have read, I think, it before. I think I finished it. I don't remember though, but I'm pretty sure I read the whole thing when it came out a few years ago. But if you don't know what The Royal Romance is, it is my favorite Choices book. For those of you who are watching this who are from my Choices account at choices_fangirl. Hi. Special shout out to you because you're a real one. I wanted to do that and play that, so that requires time to just like sit down and be able to like do something, which currently I don't have time to do because the gifts are like top priority. That needs to happen. I wanted to read an Archie comic. That one's kind of like up in the air. I have a holiday Archie comic that I just thought would be kind of fun to throw in the vlog. Working on reorganizing my bookshelf, like not extremely much. I'm just gonna move the books from a bottom shelf up in the top shelf because I got these bookends yesterday from Dollar Tree. I will show them. They're just kind of like little things. I was just like, you know, they're cheap and they're kind of cute. They say inspired on them. They're like my favorite color. I also put up I'm kind of like setting up my shelf, so I have like some books kind of here that I bought recently or acquired recently that just didn't fit on a shelf, so they might be moving once I make more room. But currently they're here. And then I moved my Archie comics. They're also over here now. And then I have a bunch of Barbie movies because I'm collecting these now. I like Barbie movies. I've grown up with them and I watched all of them. I haven't been caught up on them, so I haven't watched all of them since. But I have 19 of them now. So this is in order of release date. So I have 19. So here's a little tour, I guess. We got Barbie and the Nutcracker, Barbie the Princess and the Pauper, which is iconic, one of the best ones. Barbie Fairytopia, Barbie Magic Pegasus, which is also one of my favorites. Barbie Meridia, which was my favorite as a kid. Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. Barbie Magic of the Rainbow. Barbie and the Island Princess. Barbie Mariposa. Barbie and the Diamond Castle. Barbie Thumbelina. Barbie the Mermaid Tale, which I remember that one I watched on repeat as a kid. I love that one. Barbie A Fairy Secret. Barbie A Perfect Christmas, which I'm gonna be for real, that's the worst one. Barbie the Pearl Princess. Barbie and Princess Power. And Barbie Starlight Adventure, which is a sci-fi one, and honestly, it's one of the new ones that's probably one of my favorites. I mean, if you're gonna watch a new Barbie movie, Starlight Adventure's the one. But I think you should definitely watch the classics. My mom wants to watch Barbie the Nutcracker because we got that yesterday and we're like, it's Christmassy, we should watch it. So we'll see if that happens either. And then let me show you the books I got yesterday. I also wanted to read my new crush gave to me in this vlog, but I just don't think it's gonna happen realistically. I might read that after Christmas, we'll see, or I'll read it next year, hopefully. So I got the, I don't know what book this is in the Bridgerton series, but When He Was Wicked. So I found this at Value Village because I was shopping there. My dog is still whining. I want to read the Bridgerton series and I like these covers of the series, so I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna get it. Friday Night by Abby Glines, which I've just kind of seen around. I haven't actually heard anyone talk about it. I've heard people talk about Abby Glines before. I got The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which I've heard a lot of amazing things about. So I'm glad I have it so I can get around to it and start prioritizing it. But there's that. So it's the first book in the Off-Campus series. Oh, and then the two I'm really excited about. I got the 2 books in the Twisted Tales series. So I got A Whole New World, which is I think the first one in the series, and it's the Aladdin retelling. And it's What If Aladdin Had Never Found the Lamp. And then this one is What Once Was Mine, which is a Tangled retelling. And it's what was if Rapunzel's mother drank a potion from the wrong flowers. So I don't know, maybe. Anyways, I found both of these there and I was pretty excited about them being there. I was like, oh, look at that. I'm gonna go wrap gifts and listen to a bit more and try to finish a Little Magic, I think that's what it was called. I keep forgetting the title of this book, but I love this book. Time to get in the holiday spirit. I came back with a hat. So I finished a Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza. I'm giving it 5 stars. Are we surprised? It was so good. This is my kind of romance, just in general, like not even just as like a Christmas romance, but just like my kind of romance. Like this was for me. This is mine. I loved it. You know, I am a sucker for a good friends to lovers romance. I'm a sucker for a good second chance romance. I'm not necessarily a sucker for a good brother's best friend romance because I don't usually gravitate towards that trope, but this one was a good one. I feel like a lot of times with the brother's best friend trope, it's a lot of like, oh my, you can't date my sister and like that would be terrible because I'm protective of her. And this book definitely had that, but I think there was more than just like the brother on the line. It was more about like her parents for, you know, characters sneaking around. I will say if you're interested in picking this up, this one is definitely a more serious book. I can't remember what I said in the last clip, but I wouldn't consider this like, you know, this little happy, fun, contemporary romance or Christmas romance. Like if you're looking for something that's like happy, fun, that's not this book. But it did make me happy and I had a fun time with it, if that's what you mean. But I think there's a lot of emotions at play here going on, just given, you know, what happened in the past with Ellie and Theo. There's a lot that kind of happened in the past, and now you have to kind of like rectify that. And just also, you know, with the serious topics at hand, you know, with Theo dealing with his parents dying and grief throughout his life, and then with Ellie, she's trying to deal with her parents kind of being uber protective. Point, you know, it caused a lot of trauma in her life because she wasn't ever able to do anything, and she really struggled with that. So I think, you know, given those subjects at hand, I would say this is definitely more of like a serious, like more emotional romance, but I think that's why I liked it so much. It's not just like, you know, like your stable front, like Hallmark romance. Like this is, if you're looking for like a Hallmark romance to read for Christmas, it's not this book. But that's probably why I liked it so much, because I'm more of like an emotional romance girly, and especially I think I like when like a lot of emotions are at play. It's one of those books that like I would feel like a little anxious while reading, in the sense of like, you know, this sense of dread that I know is coming because of the second chance romance element. Like I knew they were going to break up and I didn't know why and what was going to come of that. Kind of the anxiety in like a good way, if that makes sense, of like, oh, I'm worried about the characters and like what's going to happen to them because I love them so much. Like that's kind of like not good at anxiety, but you know, do you get what I mean, right? You're worrying about them, but you know they're fictional characters. I think you want to feel like emotions while you're reading a book, because you know if a book's not making you feel anything, like it's not probably that great. I love the story. I love the romance that developed Ellie and Theo. It was just so sweet. Like, you know, puzzle piecey, just like It's Always Been You. It's just how my tropes. It is my kind of Christmas romance. It's not just like, I feel like a lot of Hallmark romances kind of just don't really go there. You just don't go super deep into it, and I feel like this is definitely like a deeper book than like, you know, Hallmark, you know, who just like cracks out like a billion gajillion romances every year, where this had a lot of like deep emotions into it, and you could tell there was like a lot of heart in it. I am absolutely checking out Lindsay Lanza's books in the future. I heard about her other book. She has another one that came out I think this year actually, called Speechless, that I will be checking out whenever. I don't know when I'm gonna read it yet, because I have so many books I want to read, but I definitely be reading more from this author. I'm really intrigued to read more of her work. I think the only thing I had an issue with was the present day timeline not being as like fleshed out as I wanted it to be, because I mean the present day timeline is kind of like rectifying what's in the past, and so I think what can be difficult with dual timelines sometimes is because all these problems are in the past, you know, and the present timeline is a lot of times about like fixing those problems. It's like you can't really exactly fix those problems if you don't know what they are yet, and if you're doing it in a dual timeline situation where you're just like slowly giving the reader more information, then you know you kind of can't spoil them in the present day for like what happened. You want that like under wraps. And so probably because of that, I feel like their present day timeline was just not as interesting. A lot of it was kind of just them like having sex, like over multiple days at a time, you know? And I wish there was just a bit more development in their present day timeline. Pretty much as soon as like they were together, they were just like pretty into each other all over again, you know? And the main character's kind of forgetting about like all the reasons why they, you know, why she's been mad at him for all of these years. She kind of just like threw all of that out the window and was like, hey, my hot ex-boyfriend is here and he's looking like a snack, so like I want to sleep with him. Like that's kind of the main, I feel like, portion of the now events was a lot of sex. I wish there was a little bit more time developing their emotional kind of component, and I wish, you know, she was reminded a lot more of how she was hurt, because I feel like the book relied almost like on past timeline just to develop their relationship, forgetting to develop them in the present day. And I think to have a good dual timeline story, you need to develop the relationship in both of them. So I wish that, you know, we got to see a bit more in the present timeline of their relationship just being developed rather than just relying on the past timeline. Because I think, you know, partly because of that, I prefer this past timeline, because I mean, that one's usually the more interesting one, is the one where you get to find out what happens. You get to see them get together for the first time. Then you had like this sense of dread of like, oh my goodness, they're gonna break up, like what's gonna break them up. Overall, I had such a fun time with this book. I love this book. If you're looking for a holiday romance, if you're still in that kind of mood, I'd recommend this one. Honestly, it's just like I don't want to say it's a feel-good story, because it's not necessarily, but like, I had a good time with it. It's just like, it's my kind of romance. It was so cute. It made me happy. Now, I still have to wrap some presents. I'm still in the process of doing that. So my plan is I'm still gonna try to play the Royal Holiday, and just talk to you about it, I guess. Don't know anything about Choices. It's like the first vlog you're seeing of me, or you just have never played this game before, let me tell you about Choices. So Choices is like a choose your own adventure kind of story app where you usually, not always, they're doing a lot of like one love interest stories now, but you usually get like choose your love interest, and you kind of get to some sway over the storyline. It depends like what story you play. They have stories across all these different genres. I feel like there's something for everybody on this app. And so my favorite story, and probably like one of the most popular ones, I think actually is the most popular one, is the Royal Romance. I love this one so much. Kind of similar to the Selection series by Kiara Cass, but I think it's actually like written a lot better. Like I feel like a lot of people maybe didn't like that book, but like the concept of it would probably like this, because you know you don't have an America Singer as protagonist. But the fact Selection is one of my favorite series of all time. This follows your main character. You can name whatever you want. I think her default name is Riley. I named her after myself because, you know, I like that and I want to be the main character. But essentially she's like a waitress in New York, and she ends up waiting on this bachelor party that has this prince there conveniently. And so she's kind of like, wow, this guy's kind of pretty flirty for like a single guy, or not like not a single guy, like a married guy or an engaged guy. She finds out that like he actually hasn't met the person he's going to marry yet. That's kind of the whole point. It's kind of his last night of freedom before he goes back to this kind of competition like the Selection or the Bachelor or whatever, where he's going to find someone to marry. And so it's not only like choosing like a wife, but he's also a queen, and so there's a lot that goes into that. So they kind of had this like little one night together where they're kind of just getting to know each other. Like nothing goes past that. Like they kind of like hang out. Like they kind of have like, you know, you have the option to kiss him. And the next day, one of the guys who was at the bachelor party, his name is Maxwell, comes to the main character and lets her know. He's like, hey, like I saw you with Liam last night, and I feel like you guys like really hit it off, and like I don't have any sisters, and so we don't have anyone for the competition, so I'd like to like sponsor you, have a chance to marry the prince. So she decides to take him up on this, and like other love interests, such as Drake, who is like the prince's grumpy best friend. Not really like you at first, but like, you know, it's kind of a grumpy sunshine sort of thing between them. A lot of people like Drake. And then you got Hannah, who's like one of the other competition, and you guys become like fast friends. And then there's also Maxwell, the guy who sponsored you in the first place, is my love interest. He's my favorite. I love him. He's best. They have like a little like slow burn relationship arc. He wasn't like a love interest until like the second book, so you know they take their time, but you get like a little like slow burn friends to lovers, and it's really genuine, like friends to lovers. You really get friends and then like see them fall for each other, and it's just like the sweetest little thing. They're my favorite ship of all time. The Royal Holiday follows characters. They go to Coast, which is like where Olivia, one of the competitors from the first book, well, all the series, so she was in the competition originally, and that's how she went the main character and stuff like that. But anyways, she's from the noble house, House Navrakis, yeah. So she owns like Lithicos. She's like I think she's a duchess. There, she invites the whole Royal Romance gang there for like a Christmas festivities and whatever. It's very snowy and stuff like that there, but only then no one shows up, and so they're the only people there, and so, you know, it's just like a fun, cute little holiday story featuring the Royal Romance characters, and I love that. So yeah, kind of, I don't know, I guess I can tell you my thoughts and feelings. I'm gonna love it. I've already read it before, but I think it'd just be like a fun thing to just like revisit. So I'll update you once I've done that. Hello, so it is now the 30th. So I actually had filmed like a whole outro to this vlog, but I just uploaded my camera to my computer, and I'm in the process of editing this vlog and realized that unfortunately the file that the video I filmed for the outro has been corrupted, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna refilm my thoughts. Hopefully I'm not too spotty and I can get my thoughts out clearly and concisely for you. But anyways, let me update you on what has happened the past few days and what I have since read. So I only read the first chapter of The Royal Holiday, and I think I'm just gonna stick with for now. I will read it all next year. There was a lot of cute moments within like the first chapter. Maxwell obviously had a lot of iconic quotes as per usual, and just like the sweet little moments between happy. I did post, I think, screenshots on my Instagram, and they should be still available in a highlight, so I will link my Instagram at choices_fangirl down below if you would like to follow me and hear me talk about more Choices content, and I talk about books on there too, a little bit, but you know, Choices is the main thing I talk about on there. Yeah, the first chapter was good, but you know, I just didn't finish it before Christmas, so I'm not going to now. So that's the main thoughts. Like, I think am in the mood for some Christmas books. Like, you know, I probably could read them, but you know, it's the 30th. I have one more book left until I have completed my Goodreads goal. So, you know, I am coming in close. I'm gonna see if I can do it. My favorite series, and it's like a Christmas short story with my favorite series, so like, what's not to love, right? It's just a fun time. I enjoy it, and if you like the Royal Romance series, you would probably like it too. That being said, I did actually read an Archie comic. I don't remember if I talked about this or not in the last clip, but I decided to pick up Archie's Holiday Fun for the first one, because I had it. And I was like, you know what, why not? Let's just read it. And it was an overall pretty good time. I don't have like usually like a ton of thoughts when it comes to Archie comics. I think I gave this one like 4 stars. Gave all the Christmas wintry vibes. I read this on Christmas Day. I will say, I think, you know, the first story was a little unhinged. You know, pre-Riverdale era, because I believe this one came out in like 1997, right? Yeah, 1997. Probably in February. Why February? It's a holiday fun one. But the first story was almost like very Riverdale-like with how unhinged it is. Like, let me just show you here. So essentially, Veronica, she gets this bracelet for Christmas, and Betty, she lets Betty try it on. And then I think Principal Witherby is supposed to come over dressed up as Santa Claus, but somehow this robber guy, he knows about it and knows that Veronica has this nice bracelet, so he kidnaps Principal Witherby, ties him up in his car, and then walks into the house, puts the Veronica's household up at gunpoint. Sounds like a Riverdale plotline, to be honest, to get this bracelet from Betty. And also Betty, like, the glass is broken, so she can't get the bracelet off, so he takes Betty hostage. Then, you know, they're going out in the car, and Archie is out there, and Archie's, I don't know, seeing this all, so he also gets taken hostage. And as for their getaway car, they take this sleigh that has this children's choir in it, and so the children end up starting to sing songs while they're on this sleigh and being held hostage by this man. After the kids sing the song, he kind of like turns over a new leaf and feels guilty about it. So then, you know, he turns himself in to the police, and then they go back home and they find out that, you know, Betty, I don't even think actually has the real bracelet that she can't get off, because they have it in a vault, because she would never actually, you know, let Betty or anyone like touch it. And that was the story. Sounds like the Riverdale Christmas episode. I don't know if there was a Riverdale Christmas episode. I am nowhere near caught up on that show, and I never will be. Very Riverdale-like, I think, before Riverdale. And obviously the Archie comics and Riverdale are very different. One of them is more, I think they're both kind of entertaining. Like, you know, for how stupid Riverdale is, it's kind of entertaining, and just like how ridiculous that show just went. Unfortunately. This kind of feels like more like a sitcom, like, you know, like these little comics, like the little stories about the characters, and I think they're a lot of fun, and I overall enjoyed them for the most part. The other story that I kind of enjoyed was the one about Mr. Lodge, and it was kind of like a Christmas Carol sort of thing. That one was kind of fun. And I think there was one about Archie got like these gifts for Veronica and Betty, but Veronica and Betty liked each other's gifts better, so they swapped. But Archie kind of thought he was going fine, and that, you know, like he was the one that like actually messed up their gifts, so he like swapped them back, and then they swapped again. That one was kind of fun too. So overall, it was a pretty good time. I liked it. I think there was one weird story. I don't know if it was Midge or something. There was like, I think it was Dilton, Moose, and Midge. I don't know what their relation is, so like I'm not entirely sure about this, but I think, was it Dilton or someone who was kissing Midge? It was a whole thing, and like, I don't know. It was that one was weird. I'm not explaining that well. So essentially, I think, you know, he had kissed her under the mistletoe, and then Moose was mad at him about it, and then he kept doing it, and it was weird. Anyways, that was that. 4 stars. Solid holiday read, and I will read I have a few of them, so maybe I'll read them next year. Who knows? And then I ended up reading another Christmas book, which was not intentional. I thought I was going to kind of leave it off with my 3 little Christmas books in this vlog, but I ended up picking another book. It was called The Holiday Mix-Up by Ginny Barrett. Essentially, this book follows this woman named Katie, and she works at this bakery, and she kind of has a crush on one of the guys who comes in, and his name is Juan, and he asks her to be his fake girlfriend over the holidays, and she's like, heck yeah, the guy like asking me to be his fake girlfriend, let's go, I will do this. But then Juan gets hit by a car and ends up in a coma, and he's already told his family about her being the girlfriend, and he, you know, asked them not to say anything about her being a fake girlfriend. It's kind of like a while you were sleeping situation, where she ends up, you know, spending Christmas with the family and getting to know them, but then she also gets to know Juan's brother, and his name's Mateo, and she kind of clicks with him a little more than she did Juan, and she's like, maybe, you know, I like Mateo and I don't like Juan. So, you know, that's the plot. It's very much While You Were Sleeping vibes. It's basically the same thing, you know. It was a fun time. I gave it like 3 stars. Yeah, 3 stars. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. It was a pretty cute, lighthearted, Christmassy read. Gave up all the Christmassy vibes. I loved the family. I feel like they were a lot of fun, and I just like the, you know, the shenanigans that ensued. You know, it was a lot of fun. Like, the family was entertaining. I feel like they added a lot to the story. I feel like they, you know, had this like vibrant, fun energy to them. The romance was like okay, you know, for the most part I would say I liked it. It just wasn't like amazing, but I liked them decently fine. I think they were overall pretty cute. I'm happy they ended up together, you know, like I didn't have
strong feelings on that. I think in the beginning I was more invested in their relationship, and then I feel like throughout the story they kind of just lost me a little bit. And then the conflict of this book kind of lost me a little. I mean, you kind of know the conflict going in, but it's not like that. Well, actually, no, it is that. It's the conflict of the story. It's not, but not in the sense the stuff that you knew. Like, you know, like obviously in the sense like, oh, you're gonna find out that she's actually not been dating Juan this whole time. Like, obviously that's the conflict. I don't think that's a spoiler. It's kind of like right there, right? But just the love interest reaction was really weird. I was like, Mateo, what the freak are you doing? Stop that. Can you not? It kind of bothered me. Like, I didn't like what he was saying, especially given, I don't want to spoil you, but like, given stuff you kind of like learn throughout the story, you know? Like, Mateo's kind of an idiot a little bit, and I feel like the story kind of did that to him out of conflict. It was weird. It was weird. I don't know. I didn't like the conflict element. But overall, the characters were pretty lovable in the story. I enjoyed them a lot. I had a good time with it. I would recommend it. It's a solid holiday read, especially if you like while you were sleeping. I'm sure you would have a good time with this. Thank you guys so much for watching this fun holiday Christmassy vlog, even though this is probably, well, no, it is being uploaded after Christmas. I did film this over Christmas, and I'm in the process of editing it. But, you know, like, I hope you enjoyed it. I will be trying to post more things soon. I have a lot of videos planned that I have been filming and working on, so I'm trying to get them out as soon as possible for you, because I think in the new year I just want to post a lot more, you know? I want to share more, post more, talk more about books and other things, and yeah, a bunch of new content that I'm planning out, so I'm going to be working on, like, planning out my content a bit more so I can try to post more videos for you. But yeah, I will see you guys soon in a new video. Goodbye!